Fire crews now working to contain a new fire that erupted overnight in Southern California. This one is called the auto fire. It's now at 0% containment. Wind gusts today could reach hurricane force, up to 70 miles an hour. A rare type of red flag wind warning also in effect in LA and Ventura counties until Wednesday because of those winds, threatening more new fire outbreaks, spreading the Palisades and Eaton fires. I spoke to the LA County Fire Chief on Monday. Are you worried that these new winds may undo the progress that you've been able to make?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If we get a new fire start in a different location, it could be very difficult to contain.
CNN's Michael Yoshida is live for us in Altadena. Michael, good morning. What are you seeing there, and what have we learned overnight?
Hey, good morning, Casey. When you talk about that new fire popping up, just to put in perspective, that's about an hour west of us, but it's the perfect example of that concern that officials have been talking about and why over the last day, throughout the overnight hours, as our team has driven through the Palisades, through Brentwood, here into Altadena, we've seen so many fire crews staging, pre-positioning, trying to be ready for if one of those new sparks, those flare-ups happen, so they can quickly get a handle on it. Now, while we have that ongoing concern and threat of those fires and new fires this morning, I'm not sure if you can hear, but we have a lot of work happening here in this Altadena neighborhood. Utility crews, gas companies, others hard at work trying to begin some of that repair work. Obviously, as you can see behind me, this, as we've been talking about, one of those communities that's been just devastated by the Eaton fire. You can see some of the lines as well still hanging down. Just an example of how much work is ahead for these communities in and around Los Angeles. But again, right now, that most pressing threat, that biggest concern overnight heading into the rest of the day is going to be how those winds continue to potentially shift and what impacts they may have on those fires that they've already been working so hard to get those containment lines around, and what any new fires, such as that auto fire, may pop up as well.
All right, Michael Yoshida for us this morning. Michael, thanks very much for that report. And that new fire burning right now in Ventura County could spread because of those gusty winds he was just talking about, and the area is under the highest possible threat level from wildfires. Let's go to our meteorologist, Allison Chinchar, with more on what to expect today. Allison, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. And I think that's really been the biggest concern all along. It's not necessarily, the fires that are there. We have several that are at 100% containment. It's all these new fires that just pop up. What happens to those, especially as those winds continue to rage throughout the day? Here's a look at the red flag warnings that we have in effect for today. And some of these even go all the way through Wednesday afternoon. This is both the combination of those strong gusty winds up around 60 to 70 miles per hour, but also taking into account how dry the air actually is. But even embedded within the red flag warning, you have these two areas here, the kind of that darker purple pink color here, where they are considered a particularly dangerous situation embedded. And that does include 3 of the 4 fires that we are watching. They are in one of those PDSs, but it also includes places like Ventura, Thousand Oaks, San Fernando. Again, a lot of these towns and communities are inside of these. So it's going to be something we have to keep a very close eye on as those winds begin to tick up. You look as we go through the day, look at some of these 40, 50 mile per hour gusts starting to pop up, even in some of the more heavily populated areas throughout the day today, and continuing into at least the first half of the day tomorrow, possibly into the afternoon hours. You've got these wind advisories with the wind gusts up around 50 to 55 miles per hour, the high wind warning where they could get up to 60, even 70 miles per hour. And yes, this does include the areas where we have all 4 of those fires. So we'll have to keep an eye out. But the one thing, Casey, that they really need is rain, and we just simply don't have that in the immediate forecast.
Yeah, really difficult. All right, Allison Chinchar for us this morning. Allison, thanks very much for that.
We're turning back now to the wildfires raging still in LA to speak to someone in the region. Todd Hall, a senior meteorologist with the National Weather Service, working in their Los Angeles office. Todd, I know we had a few issues with connections earlier. I hope you can hear me now. Todd, just bring us up to date on the latest with the weather forecast, because we were expecting these strong winds, hurricane-like winds, to pick up once again midweek. Is that what we're seeing?
Yeah, we're going to expect those winds to increase again overnight tonight and into really we're starting into Tuesday morning now. So we're going to see those winds start to increase as we get into sunrise here and shortly thereafter. And so we could see gusts between 55 and 70 miles per hour across the area, and we're already seeing these critical fire weather conditions already in place. We've had the red flag warnings out for the last several days. We're going to enter the particularly dangerous situation type red flag situation again after 4 a.m. this morning when those winds start to peak again, and we start to see the much drier air push in with the Santa Ana wind event.
As important is the direction of those winds, isn't it? And whether or not they're going towards the built-up areas. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah, so right now we're seeing a little bit more of an easterly push. That is what fueled the auto fire near Ventura it'll be late last night, actually. But what we're seeing is we'll probably see a little bit more of a shift back to the northeast a little bit, and that will cause different canyons from our complex topography to actually increase, and they'll see wind surface in some different canyons. At this point right now, it looks like the Palisades fire and the Eaton fire may not be affected as much by these winds due to the direction, but there is still that outside chance the northern ends of the Eaton fire and the western end of the Palisades fire could see some of those winds, and if there's any hot spots, they could reignite. So that's the main concern. We also have to be very cognizant and aware of any new fires that start, especially not only in LA County, but to our areas to the east and south of us in Riverside and San Bernardino counties.
We know, Todd, that breaks in the wind are important for the firefighters to operate. At what point do you expect to see some respite this week? Any changes in the weather?
We still have these critical fire weather conditions in place through 6 p.m. Wednesday. There's a chance that for some areas these could extend into Thursday. We're still evaluating that, and we'll be talking with a lot of the fire behavior analysts that we work with closely here across Southern California in these fire agencies, and really discussing that with them to see what we're looking at as far as the fire behavior when we produce the wind forecasts and humidity forecasts. So we're going to be taking a very close look at that. We are seeing a little bit of reprieve, hopefully by Friday and Saturday, a return of onshore flow, which was flow basically from the ocean to the desert here in California. And so we will hopefully see some of those fire weather conditions moderate, which will allow containment figures to go up and really allow these firefighters to build some fire lines around these wildfires.
All right, Todd Hall, we appreciate the update. Thank you so much.